is that we've always tried to understand, for example, psychic phenomena, like how could I get information out of your head and my head, as some sort of signal going back and forth. But if we're organized, if we live in a universe that's organized holographically, you no longer have to tackle it that way. It could be that I have the entire universe and every neuron, every cell, every atom, every electron in my head, and you do also. It's been discovered that if you take two subatomic particles like electrons, and in certain instances, when you do something to one, it will always affect the other, no matter how far apart they are. I'm kind of a mystic because, at a young age, I had an out-of-body experience where I left my body, and I grew up in a house with a poltergeist haunting. So I had all kinds of examples of psychokinesis, of objects moving about on their own when I was growing up. And it's interesting because in report after report of people who have been declared clinically dead, go to some apparent other level of reality and then come back, they refer to this other level of reality with terms like frequency and energy.
Michael Talbot was a visionary writer who, from a young age, experienced paranormal phenomena, including encounters with extraterrestrials, telekinesis, and poltergeist activity. These experiences led him to deeply question the true nature of reality. Talbot devoted his life to exploring these questions, culminating in his groundbreaking work, The Holographic Universe. In it, he proposed that the universe is a holographic projection, much more malleable and profound than we often imagine. Through his studies, he revealed that reality is not as fixed as we think, but rather interconnected and shaped by consciousness. Tragically, Talbot passed away suddenly and mysteriously in 1992, just 1 year after the publication of The Holographic Universe. His death, shrouded in mystery, left a sense of emptiness as he took with him a vast knowledge he had planned to share in a second book. Was this outcome a mere coincidence, or is there something deeper behind his departure? We will briefly reflect on this at the end of the video. Meanwhile, the holographic universe remains an inspiration for those seeking to uncover the hidden secrets of the cosmos, inviting us to ponder the very nature of reality. Talbot invites us to delve into an invisible layer of reality, a plane more authentic than the world we perceive through our limited senses. He suggests that our reality is merely a projection, an illusion built upon interference patterns that form what we know as the universe. We are like the shadows on the wall of Plato's cave, attempting to understand a much deeper and vaster image than we believe we see. The holographic vision of the universe. In his work, Michael Talbot presents the fascinating idea that the physical universe we inhabit is similar to a hologram, a projection originating from another dimensional plane, imperceptible to our senses, yet more fundamental and essential than our own. This theory has gained relevance in recent years as science progresses. According to Talbot, this vision not only offers an innovative perspective on the structure of the cosmos, but is also deeply connected with our consciousness, providing a deeper understanding of psychic phenomena and the power of the human mind to influence reality. One of the most intriguing features of a hologram is that each part contains the entirety of the hologram. This suggests that within us, if we know how to access that depth, all the wisdom of the universe already resides. As poet William Blake said, "You can find the universe in a grain of sand." Within the framework of holographic theory, we can not only access information from the present, but also from the past and the future. Concepts like telepathy, precognitive dreams, the placebo and nocebo effects, or the law of attraction fit perfectly within this framework. We will explore all of this in detail throughout the video. Talbot argues that if the universe is a hologram, then reality is not fixed or solid, but rather malleable, like an image constantly changing. Just like in a hologram, where each fragment of a holographic image reflects the whole, the cosmos might work similarly. Each part contains a semblance of the whole. This implies that what we perceive as a solid reality is only a superficial manifestation, Just as a three-dimensional image in a hologram is, in reality, a projection generated by interference patterns, the universe could operate through a profound field of energy where everything is interconnected. If we accept this vision, the entirety of the universe, with its information from the present, past, and future, would be contained in every fragment, even within ourselves. The roots of the theory. The concept of the holographic universe was initially proposed by two influential figures who worked independently: David Bohm, a physicist and student of Einstein, and Karl Pribram, a neurophysiologist at Stanford University. Bohm discovered that at the subatomic level, reality seemed to behave like a hologram, while Pribram, in studying memory, found evidence that the human brain functions similarly to a hologram. According to Talbot, the combination of these two ideas suggests a surprising hypothesis. The universe as a whole could be a hologram, not in the literal sense, but as a powerful metaphor for understanding its nature. But what does it really mean for the universe to be holographic? Two levels of reality. Talbot suggests that this holographic model implies that there are two levels of reality, one visible and concrete, like the chairs you sit in, the trees, or our bodies, and another deeper level, where everything dissolves into an ocean of interconnected holographic energy. At this level, the divisions between objects and beings are illusory. Talbot mentions that David Bohm emphasized that the belief in separation is a mental construct, an illusion that we accept as reality. The quantum connection. For Talbot, the holographic universe also provides a coherent explanation for quantum phenomena, such as particle entanglement. When two electrons are entangled, what happens to one affects the other instantaneously, regardless of the distance between them. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, this is impossible, but the evidence is there. Bohm, whose work Talbot highlights, suggests that this is because, at a deeper level, particles are not really separate. They do not travel anywhere because, so to speak, they are part of a unique energetic continuum. This is similar to what often happens with twins, who feel and experience what happens to the other, regardless of the distance that separates them. If the universe functions as a hologram, then all parts are interconnected, and what affects one part of the system simultaneously affects the whole. Reality as projection. Talbot explains that, in the holographic model, the reality we perceive with our senses is merely a three-dimensional projection of a deeper and more fundamental reality. Although this projection may seem tangible and real, in essence, it is made up of encoded energy waves that organize into interference patterns, which our brain decodes. This phenomenon is similar to how, on our televisions, we can tune into different channels that show specific images. The underlying reality, however, is made up of electromagnetic waves that float in the environment and are decoded by the television into images. Beyond traditional physics. For Michael Talbot, the work of David Bohm and Karl Pribram not only transformed the understanding of physics and neuroscience, but also opened the door to new ways of interpreting phenomena that until then didn't fit well into conventional scientific models. Talbot believed that this holographic theory offered a potential explanation for experiences such as telepathy, premonitions, and other psychic phenomena that, according to him, could be related to the interconnected nature of the universe. If, as Pribram stated, the brain operates holographically, it has the ability to access information stored anywhere in that holographic field. In other words, human consciousness would not be limited by time or space. Talbot saw this as evidence that our everyday reality is just a small fraction of a much broader and more complex reality, to which we can sometimes access in altered states of consciousness or through mystical experiences. This has fascinating implications for psychic phenomena. Traditionally, we think of telepathy as a signal traveling from one mind to another. However, if the universe is holographic, this transforms. Each of us contains the entire universe in every atom, every cell, and every neuron. This would allow us to access information that seems to be beyond the limits of our own brains or minds. A new understanding of reality. Although this idea may seem radical, it resonates with many spiritual traditions that have held for centuries that the universe is an interconnected network. Through practices like meditation, breathing, or even suddenly, we can access the projection of the hologram, the whole, or the divine mind. Talbot saw in the work of Bohm and Pribram scientific proof that the separation between the material and the immaterial is an illusion, suggesting that reality is much more plastic, dynamic, and mysterious than we usually believe. Human consciousness, then, could be the key to accessing those deeper levels of reality and understanding that the universe is much more than the mere sum of its parts. This very consciousness, which shapes reality on a fundamental level, also has the power to influence the body, opening the door to self-healing. Self-healing through our mental power. When we delve into the power of the mind to influence the body, we encounter amazing examples, such as the placebo effect and healing through visualization. In his book about the holographic universe, Talbot mentions an experiment conducted by a psychologist with soldiers. He had them march the same distance, but told some they had marched 10 miles, others 20 miles, and others 30 miles. Surprisingly, when physiological measurements were taken, the soldiers' bodies responded to the number of miles they believed they had marched, not to the actual distance. This principle also applies to medicine. The placebo effect, for example, is a clear reflection of how we respond to the reality model we believe in. Talbot tells the story of a man with lymphatic cancer, with tumors the size of oranges. His doctor gave him only a few days to live, but the man insisted on trying an experimental drug called cribiozin. Although the doctor doubted it, he agreed to administer it. Miraculously, within 3 days, the tumors began to disappear. The man made a full recovery. Months later, he read that cribiozin was not very effective, and immediately the tumors returned. The doctor, seeing a possible connection between the mind and body, lied to the patient, telling him that the articles were wrong and that he was going to give him an even more potent version of the drug. What he actually injected him with was saline water, but again, the man temporarily healed. Months later, he read another article that completely denied the effectiveness of the drug. The tumors returned once more, and sadly, the man passed away. The key point here is that his healing was not caused by the drug itself, but by his deep belief that it would cure him. His body responded to the reality he had created in his mind, and that led him to a temporary recovery, even when he was only receiving saline water. This type of belief-based response is reflected in numerous studies. Here is another example, this time of the opposite effect, the nocebo effect. In England, an experiment was conducted with a new chemotherapy drug. One group of cancer patients was given the real medication, while another group received a placebo. Both groups were warned that the medication could cause hair loss. Surprisingly, 30% of the patients who only received the placebo lost their hair, which shows that they were reacting more to what they believed the medication would do than to its actual composition. This is the true power of the holographic mind. Not only do we perceive reality through the filters that our mind projects, but sometimes these mental models can directly influence our body. The implications of this are profound. from healing to our relationship with the physical world around us. This power of the mind, of our infinite self, is astonishing. We are capable of manifesting negative or positive physical effects based on the perception and reality models we maintain in our heads. In the same way, we are able to manifest positive or negative things in our lives, depending on our vibrational state, as we have already extensively discussed on the channel. So, we must be very careful with what we believe and how we interpret the reality around us. Our minds have more influence on reality than we usually think, as we will see next. Paranormal phenomena under the holographic vision. Talbot, referring to Bohm's ideas, proposes a revolutionary view of paranormal phenomena such as psychokinesis. Bohm suggests that we may be wrong in trying to explain, for example, psychokinesis as an energy transfer from the brain to the object. According to his interpretation of the universe as an indivisible and holographic system, there is no real separation between mind and matter. Psychokinesis, or the ability to move objects with only the mind, is explained under this premise. We are not separate entities from the objects around us, but rather form a continuum with them. Instead of imagining that our mind projects energy to move something, Bohm proposes that such an act could simply be a phenomenon of resonance, where, in some way, the object and the subject merge. In other words, by recognizing that there is no division between us and the object, moving it would be nothing more than a natural manifestation of that unity. This approach has profound implications, suggesting that phenomena such as telepathy, clairvoyance, or psychokinesis would not be something supernatural or a hallucination, but rather an inherent part of a reality that we have been interpreting incorrectly. This concept extends to other phenomena such as lucid dreams or near-death experiences, NDEs, which have been studied by scholars like Kenneth Ring from the University of Connecticut. Access to other realities. Ring has explored how the holographic model could explain some of the stranger experiences reported by people who have been clinically declared dead. Many of these individuals describe a higher level of reality that seems to be more plastic and fluid, where thoughts materialize instantly. In some cases, for example, patients have experienced the desire to eat, and the food has appeared before them, or they have observed their own body from an external perspective and, realizing they are naked, immediately dress themselves. This suggests that, in an altered state of consciousness, our mind has the ability to draw elements from this ocean of frequencies and project them in the form of holograms. Something similar happens with lucid dreams, where by becoming aware that we are dreaming, we can alter reality at will. This type of experience could be due to access to other planes of reality, closer to the source of the hologram's projection, where we would have more control over our experience. But even in this 3D reality, there are seemingly inexplicable cases where the mind seems to deliberately influence reality, sometimes in a puzzling way. The poltergeist phenomenon. Perhaps the poltergeist phenomenon is an example of this. Talbot had several personal experiences with these phenomena. He concluded that these events were always linked to his emotional state. When he was in a good mood, the manifestations were more harmless and playful, but when he was going through difficult times, the events became more disturbing, sometimes with objects appearing out of nowhere or strange marks on his body. The interesting thing is that, by adopting a more rational and positive perspective, these events ceased. This demonstrates how our beliefs and mental states can directly influence the reality we experience. Thus, the holographic model not only allows for a new understanding of paranormal phenomena, but also opens a door to the idea that consciousness is not confined to the brain, but is a fundamental property that permeates the entire universe. How does all this matter in our own life? The key is to ground these ideas, to make them practical, so that we can apply the wonder of these reflections to the real world and improve our daily experience. Talbot reflects on how concepts such as telepathy, telekinesis, near-death experiences, or even poltergeists and the holographic model integrate into one reality. For him, everything is part of a spiritual universe in which our souls traverse multiple dimensions and experiences. He considers that, at this stage of development, we have manifested in the physical because our consciousness is still not fully prepared to handle the vastness of reality. If we were thrown into a reality where we could instantly manifest everything we think, we would have trouble controlling our worries and fears, which could result in a chaotic experience, like a bad LSD trip. This is why, according to Talbot, the process of accessing these levels of reality is gradual. However, as our souls evolve, we learn to interact with other levels of reality, as if opening doors in the holographic television of existence. For Talbot, these paranormal experiences, or experiences of awe, as his friend Arthur Young called them, are not simple external manifestations, but serve a deeper purpose, to push us toward a higher state of consciousness. This evolution of consciousness allows reality to become more plastic, and what we experience is a direct manifestation of what we need to learn about ourselves. Just as we manifest emotions and beliefs, we can also manifest things in a deep and seemingly paranormal way. However, Talbot emphasizes that these experiences are projections of what we are as souls. Talbot compares the current state of consciousness of humanity to a baby playing with the controls of an airplane. Our soul is infinite, but we still do not have full control over it. Synchronicity, along with other paranormal phenomena, shows that our psyche directly influences the outside world. However, we are still learning to master our thoughts and emotions to manifest only what we truly desire. Our ability to interact with these realities is still developing, and, like the apprentice sorcerer, we must learn to handle our ability to consciously manifest what we desire. The key to integrating all these phenomena and reaching higher states of consciousness lies in the inner universe, in mastering our emotions and our mind. Mystics have shown that by delving into the inner universe, one accesses the true vastness of reality, a universe more real than the consensual reality. In reality, the inner world is more real than the outer world, and although not everyone has accessed the depth of this inner reality, mystics have done so. Talbot also makes a connection with the Hindu idea of Maya, the illusion of the hologram that creates reality. Most of us see ourselves as holographic projections, when in reality we are the source of those projections. If we manage to awaken to the illusion by cultivating and developing our level of consciousness, we can awaken to the illusion and become authentic creators of our reality, consciously manifesting health, abundance, and prosperity. A legacy that endures. Michael Talbot intended to write a second book in which he would explore how to apply the knowledge of the holographic universe in our daily life. Unfortunately, he passed away before he could accomplish it. Various theories have arisen on the internet regarding his death. Some suggest that his departure was premature because certain sectors did not want him to continue delving into and sharing this knowledge. Other theories claim that much of what he wrote in the holographic universe came from channelings of spiritual beings, and that his mission was to deliver this knowledge to the world before his departure. However, these ideas fall into the realm of speculation, and we will probably never know for certain what really happened. Officially, his death in 1992 is attributed to lymphoma. Nevertheless, this event is not without a certain irony, considering his deep understanding of the holographic universe and the power of the mind, especially in relation to the placebo effect. Despite everything, the holographic universe remains a key work for those seeking a deeper understanding of reality. Through his writings and lectures, Talbot popularized a theory that challenges the boundaries of conventional thought, raising questions about the nature of the cosmos, consciousness, and our existence. And from this channel, we honor his legacy.